Hello, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Vaishali Bharambe. I've been teaching anatomy for more than 25 years and I love it. I've found that there is a distance between the door of the anatomy department and the door of the surgery department. And that distance is the surgical anatomy knowledge. So now I have started a surgical anatomy series in which I help you to breach this. Okay, so today we're going to talk about anatomy of breast implantation surgery. What is the anatomy you need if you want to carry out breast augmentation surgeries? So remember that all these lectures, the notes of all these lectures are available on my website in the form of handouts. Please feel free to access them there and study them again and again. So, and if you like the lecture, do remember to like and subscribe to my channel. It will encourage me to make more of these lectures. So, what is breast augmentation surgery? It's also called as augmentation mammoplasty. So, it's a surgical procedure which is aimed at increasing the size, changing the shape or fullness of the breast. Why would you do this surgery? Okay. Yes, you know, I'm sure that it's one of the very commonly carried out surgeries today. Basically for cosmetic enhancement, but also for reconstruction of breast following mastectomy or injury, restoration of the volume of breast following a massive weight loss, and for many other reasons, these surgeries are carried out. So, breast augmentation can be done by implant-based augmentation, fat transfer augmentation, and many other methods. Today, I'm going to focus mainly on implant-based augmentation. So there are various types of implants that are put in, like saline implants, silicone gel implants, structured saline, form stable, gummy bear implants, and so on. I don't feel qualified to discuss these. Just remember that these are the types of implants. But I would like to focus on the mammary gland aspects of this implantation. So here is the mammary gland, limited above by the second rib, lower extending down till the sixth, medially till the sternum, and laterally till the mid-axillary line. So, when you're studying the mammary gland, from point of view of implant, remember three things: pectoralis major, retromammary space, inframammary fold. So, let's understand this. So, here's the mammary gland covered by skin, superficial fascia. This is the retromammary space. Okay. Related on the deeper side to deep fascia and the pectoralis major muscle, and then the chest wall. This is the basic anatomy. But this pectoralis major muscle is seen here. You can see how it's attached to the clavicle, to the sternum, a little bit to the aponeurosis of external oblique. Were you to remove this flap, you will find the pectoralis minor lying below this. From these ribs, third, fourth, fifth ribs to the coracoid process of the scapula. And now this is all these structures in one go. That's the massive pectoralis major. You can see through it, there is the pectoralis minor. Related above to the, you can see the clavipectoral fascia being pierced by the cephalic vein, thoracoacromial artery, and the lateral pectoral nerve. You can also see the medial pectoral nerve, the lateral thoracic artery. All this anatomy is related to the pectoralis major lying deep to it. And here is the mammary gland. Now, so that's pectoralis major. Let's now come to retromammary space, which, like I said, was a space between pectoralis major and covering deep fascia and the base of mammary gland. Between these two is this retromammary space. This makes the mammary gland mobile on the chest. Okay. That's the second space I wanted to focus on. The third focus must be on the inframammary fold, the point where the skin and superficial fascia of the mammary gland meets with that of the chest. Here is your inframammary fold. It can be high, it can be low, it can be straight, it can be curved. It plays an important role in the fullness of the mammary gland upper layer or the lower layer. Okay. So what is the significance of this fold? How does it matter? Let's understand that even the adjustment of the inframammary fold can enhance the upper or lower poles of breast. It's an important for the placement of the breast implant. Knowledge of this is important for placement of breast implant. How do you insert an implant? You can take an incision at the inframammary fold. For obvious reasons, it lies below the breast. Therefore, if you were to take an incision, the scar would not be that visible. There's also a periareolar implant incision or a transaxillary implant incision also. Most commonly used is the infraaxillary incision. So where do you want to put an implant? You've learned the anatomy of 1, 2, 3. Pectoralis major, retromammary space, inframammary fold. So where do you want to put the implant? The implant can go in a retromammary space, in the space we've talked about. Implant can be put in behind the pectoralis major by cutting it, and there can be a dual plane implant. So here you're seeing the silicone implant in the retromammary space. Here you're seeing an implant behind the pectoralis major. This is the pectoralis major and that's the implant behind it. Let's compare to understand. So now, if the implant is in the retromammary space, advantage is patient recovers fast. You're not cutting any big muscle and you can put in a big implant. But problem is, if the breast tissue is very thin, the implant can begin to show in the form of creases on the surface of the breast. What are the advantages of cutting pectoralis major and putting the implant below it? Advantage is the contour you get is much smoother. It's a more natural looking thing and it does not interfere with the mammography. But the problem is that you're cutting a big functioning muscle. So it's going to be related muscle weakness. Also, there are some problems. Let's take a look. So you can see this is normal and you can see that the implant behind the pectoralis major has started to sink down. As it sinks down, it causes a double breast appearance. This is called as a double bubble deformity. It gives a very abnormal looking mammary gland. There's something called bottoming out, in which case it sinks in such a way that the rest of the breast tissue lying over it tilts so that there is the whole direction of the nipple and areolar complex changes. This can happen because the surrounding connective tissue is weak. You have used a very large implant. Okay, so that's what happens. There's something called as waterfall or synmastia or uniboob. What is this? Okay, so now the implant begins to migrate upwards in the chest. As it migrates upwards, the shape of the mammary gland is lost and both the breasts begin to appear as continuous. Okay, there is no cleavage in the middle seen. This can be because you have over dissected the space between the breasts, because you've used a very large implant and the tissue is too lax. Take a look. Now this is what is happening. The direction of the breast has changed also. Here you are seeing a normal breast and here you are seeing what is called as a synmastia or a uniboob. Okay, you can see how the implant has migrated in such an abnormal looking way. Okay, so this is all the anatomy you should know for understanding implants or in the mammary gland. So this is all that we have discussed. So to summarize, what have we discussed today? We've discussed what is breast augmentation surgery. We have discussed the reasons why these surgeries are done. We've discussed 3 basic anatomical structures you should know for carrying out these surgeries. We've discussed the significance of inframammary fold. And then we went on to talk about some of the complications of each of the types of implant placements. Something about double bubble deformity, bottoming out, synmastia, and so on. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope it taught you something. If you like the video, do like and subscribe. It'll encourage me to create more of these informative videos. Thank you. I'll see you across the screen in some other surgical anatomy video. Bye.